I think I shared with you before we started. I had a major referral this morning, which was it's going to be a decent one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe just share that with everybody just to share a little positivity on this Friday.
So it's my birthday weekend, and I was granted a $15 million referral today from another
Cash.
agent.
Yep.
Cash. And
Yeah.
so
Happy birthday.
I'm pumped, but man, I think we make deposits in people. I say this often, we make deposits, and I hope to make a deposit with you guys today. Just deposit something that that's gonna stick with you, that you're gonna learn with. Yeah, so let's get started.
All right, amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, and congratulations. That's a great birthday present. Couldn't think of anything better. Um, yeah. So what would you say has helped you stay in the business and continue producing at such a high level for nearly 2 decades?
You know what? I thought about this question, and it's like, I learned back in 2008, when the market crashed, that, no one's coming to save you. The market wasn't going to change. Things weren't going to inherently get better overnight. And you know what? Once I realized nobody was going to save me, that I owned my own destiny, I decided to do something about it. And I will never forget, it was a hurricane that hit Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we had no power for 2 weeks. Okay, we're in the middle of the crash. I didn't even know the market was crashing because I didn't know how to pay attention to everything that was going on. And I realized pretty quickly after about day 4 that I wasn't busy, but I had been doing busy work. Right, I started making some spreadsheets, and once I fell in love with the numbers of real estate from that day forward. And right around that time, I ran into about 3 people who were like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot you were a real estate agent. My sister just bought a house. I totally forgot to tell you. My neighbor just listed," and it hurt so bad in that era. It really did. That I really got serious about it. I bought the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and I got my CRM. I bought Top Producer in 2008, October 2008. And while my team has had different variations of very expensive software, I didn't move off of Top Producer until 2022. So if that tells you anything, I'm sending emails, writing handwritten notes, sending text messages, making my calls, and that generate. I know that I can generate between 65 and 80 deals per year without really even like killing myself. So the other thing is, I did early in my career, I got distracted chasing shiny objects. But what's funny is when you stop chasing shiny objects, things feel boring, and you have to start to learn to fall in love with the boring, because the boring is what's going to transform your business. And also, one last thing I thought about that I wanted to share is that for years, I spent a lot of time thinking, and I have structured thinking time. Quality thinking time is more precious than you'll realize early in your career. And so those things, I think, is what's kept me going for this long.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. So you talked about a few things in there that I could hear maybe some lessons from. What are a few of those lessons that you wish you would have learned earlier in your career that maybe could save a newer agent on this call from making some of those same mistakes or not doing something sooner?
One thing is I think that you have to understand the numbers of real estate. I'll go back to that, right? It's always a funnel. It's always been a funnel. So when I started my team, or even before my team, I built that spreadsheet. Well, I knew, right, that if I had this many calls, I was going to get this many appointments set. And then I had this many appointments held, and I'd take this many pendings, and I have this many closings. And it's funny because we're in such a digital age. We're not looking at the whiteboard anymore, like walking in and looking at this wall and going, "Hey." And so once you understand that real estate as a funnel, it helps to, I guess, visualize. You have to be able to visualize where you're going to go, right? We talk about thinking time. We talk about things. And so, yeah, Just fall in love with the numbers. Understand what it's going to take to hit your target. Everyone should have a business plan. I have not, in this many years, I have not missed the business planning clinic at the end of the year. And, I know we've got some guests on today, but at the end of the year, you should, in September, no later than October, make a business plan. Because real estate, what we do in real estate is what, 30, 60, 90 days out. So you're starting your year in September, October. So you should have a clear plan, how many transactions you're going to do, how many conversations you need to have, how many appointments you need to hold, how many listings you need to take, and just run the plays. Just run the plays. I know it's not sexy, but it's that simple. It's easy to get distracted. You just have to stay focused. You have to stay focused.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. We have business planning clinic every September that Brian and Heather Wentz teach. So you guys keep that in mind when that comes around, that Tim just said that. So that's a great time to sign up and get your business planning for the following year. So Tim, one of the things we talked about in our pre-interview call, you're somebody who truly believes in helping others and how that ultimately will then help your business. So what does that philosophy look like in your day-to-day work?
That's a really good question, by the way. I just want to tell you that when I read it, I was like,
Thank you.
Question. And so, I've been through many market disasters, and I know in Florida, y'all dealt with a lot of the same. And so, we were doing our pre-call, and I was like, you know what? When we had the flood in 2016, for example, in Baton Rouge, we lost what? 120,000 houses. I was scared. Actually terrified. And it was like, but we rallied, we went out and helped the community. I didn't worry about where my business was going to come from. I just jumped into action. And that was August that year. And, September wound up being the best month I've ever had. And after every hurricane or disaster, it's funny because those things repeated itself. And so I learned for a long time ago that just sometimes getting out and serving means a lot. And so when you give back without expectation, and what that looks like daily for me is I give someone a review. I try to give a review. I don't ask for a review every day, but I try to go give someone that has another business a review. I try to give a referral. We all want more referrals, and if you're not getting referrals on Facebook, Google, and things like that, you absolutely should. But giver's gain, if you've ever been in a BNI group, that philosophy, the giver's gain, absolutely. And so I try to give a review, I try to give a referral. It's easier to get one when you're giving, right? I know asking for referrals, I've had sometimes the B clients over the head, like getting feedback from an agent on showing these days. It seems like tough, but if you give a referral, it's easy to give one. I also try to give a compliment. I try to give a thank you. And I start off with gratitude daily to start my day. And so that's what that shows up for me daily. We have over 300 reviews. Our next target is 500. We've lost 100 somehow. Don't know how that happened. But so just a review, a referral, a compliment, a thank you. Just come from gratitude and give to people, and then you'll start to realize that you're going to start to receive a whole lot more.
Amazing. Well, I love that. Like you said, just getting out there and helping, that then always comes back. Whatever we put out there comes back to us in some capacity. So I want to switch the focus a little bit now to lead generation. That is a term that a lot of agents maybe get scared of as soon as they hear it. Maybe they immediately know that's not something that they is a strong suit of theirs, or that they necessarily enjoy doing. When you said that we have to love the boring, that is exactly what a lot of agents may think of. The lead generation, maybe that boring part. So you mentioned that a typical day for you includes about 4 hours of lead generation. Now, considering that you are in 2 markets, I'm sure it would then double. But can you walk us through what that actually looks like for you?
So first is a mindset. Right? And what should a day in the life of a real estate agent look like? The top 5 things: lead generate, lead follow up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts, script, learn, grow. Right? And so, first off, my calendar does not say prospecting. It does not say lead generating. My calendar, and you won't be able to see it, but I can pull it up for you. It says a day in the life. I'm just living a day in the life of a real estate agent, right? And so for me, it's easier to kind of go, oh, what is the number, what are my money making activities? Lead generate, lead follow up. And so when I start with that, yeah, I do 2 hours a day for Baton Rouge. I do 1 hour a day for Nashville. Okay, so that's 3. I do a call night every other week for 2 hours, every other Wednesday. I've done that for almost the entirety of my career. And then if I'm behind, I do it on Saturday. And then if I don't have appointments, I do more. And that's just it. Like, and then if I'm not, I mean, that's just all there is to it. I mean, we are in the lead generation business.
Mhm.
Like, make no mistake, we are in the lead generation business. Matter of fact, most businesses are, and they just don't realize it. So that's 2 hours, 1 hour call night every week, and then Saturday. I've done this since I was a new agent. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So 19 years in, it still looks the exact same as when you were a new agent 19 years ago. That has not changed.
Not yet.
No.
I've looked for the magic pill. If it existed, I think I would have found it by now. I'm from Louisiana, so I'm not that bright. So maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it exists and I don't know about it, but I haven't heard about it. And so, yeah, that's it. I mean, now I'm also prospecting for talent. I'm also prospecting. I have a lot. My calendar is pretty crazy, but I do a good job of sticking to it. I know it's not. I know people don't love hearing that, but you need.
Yeah, absolutely. So many agents do struggle with lead generation, and they admit to that. It's maybe not the most fun part of real estate. What helps you build the discipline to make it a daily priority?
Falling in love with the boring. What I think I told you about. I got tired of running into people that had done business without me, and it sucked. And I got tired of that. That was painful. But it's no, you're not going to go from unstructured lead generation to 4 hours a day. It's just not going to happen. I like doing it. I'll tell you this. I would much rather lead generate than go on an appointment ever again. I love talking to people. I love putting deals together. I love solving problems. I don't love going on appointments. I would rather lead generate than go on an appointment. So for a new agent, I would say you're gonna have to fall in love with the things that make you money, but make it your own version. I know I start off my day going to Facebook and wishing people happy birthday. Not so tough, is it? Picking up the phone or shooting a text and I add their birthday to my CRM. And then, I start, and then I'm just working through my day in the life, calling my hot clients who's doing business in the next, 30 days. I talk to them. Then I go to my task day for the list. And then I go to my people who are doing business in 45 days or more. Then, it's just a structure. And you know what, but you have to start small and then work your way up. That's my advice. Go, hey, I need to talk to 5 people a day. And when you nail 5 people a day, go to 10. 10 real estate conversations a day, 50 a week, can generate you damn good money. I promise you. I promise. 10 real estate conversations a day.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know how I know you're telling the truth with the birthday thing is on our daily stand up with our leadership team this morning, Heather said, Tim calls me every year in January on my birthday. I know I'm getting a call from Tim. He never forgets that, and it means the world. So you mean that, and I think that's again part of we're in a relationship business, and remembering somebody and making them feel important on their special day, like yours is coming up this weekend, is important.
So here's the thing I want everybody to remember. Indifference doesn't feel good. Right? It doesn't always feel bad, but it doesn't feel good. So if someone has wished you a happy birthday and you didn't return the favor, you're indifferent to them. You did a deal with a client and didn't call them after that. You're indifferent to their situation. And so I think that indifference does not feel good. So you just have to get into action.
Wow, that's powerful. So there was another powerful thing that you said during our pre-interview call. There's a real cost to not doing your lead generation or not making it a priority daily. Can you unpack that for everyone and your thought process with that?
So I thought about how to best present this without a visual today. And your database has a value. Your database has a value. McKenna and Elise and Brian, I see you. What's up? Good morning. Afternoon. Ashley, you know what? Everybody's database has a value, but more specifically, the relationships in that database has a value. When a doctor sells his business, what is he selling? When a doctor sells his practice, when he's ready to move on, right? He's selling a database. He knows how many times you've been. He knows your ailments. He knows your schedules. He knows blood pressure. He knows so much about you, right? They have a lot of data. Amazon has a lot of data about you. Real estate agents feel weird about asking for birthdays and anniversaries and important things and kids' names, right? And so, but a database with the right amount of data and worked properly, you right now, research shows that you should be able to convert about 10% of that. So let's just take a look at this. I put it up here. I don't know if you can see it. If you've got a 500-person database, and I know most of you have a much larger one inside your phone and your Facebook and Instagram and all this stuff, but let's just work off of easy numbers. If you've got 500 people in your database, worked properly, you should be able to get 50 deals. 50 deals, right? So the average commission in your area, you told me it was around $10,000. Okay. At 50 deals at $10,000 a pop is around $500,000 in gross commission income. Okay, well that's potential value of a 500-person database. And most of the time when I travel and teach how to beat Zillow, people have 1,400 people in their phone, 3,000 people in their social media, and yet we've got hardly anyone in our CRM that we will commit to communicating with. And so if you did 10 deals last year and you have 500-person database, that means you missed out on $400,000 in commissions. Is that easy math for everybody? There's 252 working days for real estate agents in the year. We take holidays. We have things we involve, right? The flexibility in real estate, that what means for me, flexibility means don't only have to work 252 days versus, having 2 weeks of paid vacation, right? Let's talk about that kind of flexibility. But $400,000 divided by 252, that's what you missed. That's $1,587 per day that it costs you not to go into your office or go into an office or go to somewhere public and lead generate. If you're not showing up and working your database, the first time I did this exercise, it was about half that, and it scared the hell out of me. It really did. It really did. And so there's a real opportunity cost to not working your databases. If you're not, someone else is, I promise you. And I think what we'll cover as we move on to some of the questions of like how that's happening, but your database is being worked. If it's not by you, it's by someone else. And that should bother you. You should care. They want to do business with people who they know, who they trust, and who they like. That's something they got off of, homes.com or realtor.com or wherever they got them, or walked into an open house and met a complete stranger instead of doing business with you. So that's I get a bit energetic when I talk about that, but yeah, there is a real cost, and it should bother you.
Absolutely. Wow, that was incredible, and thank you for that visual, because you're exactly right. So in your experience, what happens to an agent's business when they stop lead generating?
Someone else is stealing it from you. Point blank. Point blank. So when you stop lead generating, someone else is fostering that relationship. I moved to Nashville. I am still working my database in Baton Rouge. I won't pretend that I can do it the same as if I was there. Someone is taking parts of my database. I have accepted that. I have accepted that. Therefore, there are people being taken away that I have to add. So your database you should weed it, you should feed it. And you should, you need to weed it, you need to feed it, you need to water it, you need to treat it like it is a living organism, whether you want it to be or not. It is not so static. So it's someone stealing from you. That's what's happening. Yep.
Wow. So, what do you think the agents misunderstand the most about lead generation?
I think it's a battle of mind share. Remember when I said in 2008, when I kept running into people who forgot I was an agent? Here's something that will ring true forever and ever. It's not their job to remember what you do. It's your job to remind them. It is your job to remind them. So Kennedy, do you like Coca-Cola?
I prefer Dr. Pepper, but I'll take a Coke
Okay,
every once in a while.
okay. Well, you like Dr. Pepper, right?
Yep.
Therefore, does Dr. Pepper have to stop running commercials because you like Dr. Pepper?
Absolutely not.
If you started stop seeing Dr. Pepper commercials, would it be plausible that you drink another soda?
No, I'd stick with my Dr. Pepper.
But it's possible if you stop seeing the ads, right?
Oh, maybe, maybe.
But the reality is it's mind share, and
Mhm.
that's what people miss about lead generation. It is we have marketing. It is a free version of marketing. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease. Takes a little bit of elbow grease by picking up the 800-pound telephone or stopping by their office, saying hello. There's a lot of different forms of lead generation. I don't know what we'll cover today, but real estate agents are doing a fraction of what they used to do in this era of technology. And I'm an advocate for the real estate agent. I always will be.
Yeah.
We've got to do better.
Absolutely. So transitioning, still staying in that lead generation area, you've emphasized wanting agents to understand the why behind the why. That was something you repeatedly said to me on our call that I thought was so powerful. What is the deeper reason agents should commit to lead generation every day, and touch on that phrase, the why behind the why? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I think it happened again.
Well, that's okay. I want somebody to come off mute and tell me an aha that they've learned so far from what he said.
I know, I feel like a million
Outcome
ahas.
A, yes, and B, um, somebody else is taking your database.
Yeah. Wow. That's like a,
That's a hard thing to swallow there.
Right? Yeah. So that's
Absolutely.
very
Wow.
interesting. Mm-hmm.
And who
Absolutely.
agrees with him where he said that he would prefer to lead gen over going on appointments? Who feels that way in their business?
I can't say I do.
Yeah. I
love
love
lead
how he put it.
generation.
Oh, Rebecca.
I do. I love lead
Mhm.
generation, and my stomach gets in knots when I can't lead generate.
Mm,
That's a fact. I will concur with Rebecca on that one. She is a rock star.
yeah. One of the things he said, it's a day in the life. Like it's part of being a realtor, and it's something that you can't stop doing 5 years, 10 years, 20 years into the business. All right, here he is. We're gonna let him back on in here.
Mm-hmm. But so far, I don't know about you guys. I'm learning some great stuff here, and I'm
Yeah, this
really
is great
enjoying
stuff.
him.
A day in the life. Powerful stuff there. All righty.
And
Here
good
we
job
go.
keeping it going, McKenna.
All right. I'm back again.
Okay. There
Back
we
again.
go.
All right. So I was saying we had 225 million Americans that were between the ages of 18 and 80. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, there were 225 million unique visitors on Zillow. That means everyone you know at some point looked at real estate online. Just on Zillow, okay? The portals, all the portals combined across brokerage sites, realtors, homes.com was like somewhere in like 700 million, meaning we're recycling. And so I'm looking at Ashley Stevenson right now. So I'm like, Ashley, that means Ashley, your mom, friends, neighbors, everyone you know at some point has looked at real estate. And yet they just walk into the office every day and go, I'm not going to call them. They probably don't want to talk about real estate today. And that bothers the crap out of me. Like it's a false story that we tell ourselves. I see Elise nodding. I mean, and it's true. Like we don't want to call. Here's the reality. They don't want to be sold to. They don't want to know every time they pick up the phone that you're trying to sell them on something, right? But they are curious about real estate. And the problem is real estate agents don't understand how to come from contribution, how to bring value to people in their conversations. They're always trying to sell. And that's the problem. That's the why behind the why. Here's another thing. Zillow and Redfin and these corporations that are now brokerages, and it's in one of my slides, and this just makes my blood boil. They're actively trying to get them to switch agents. Guys, we have enough competition as it is without having them trying to make them switch agents. So everyone you know is looking at real estate at some point in the course of a year. That's a unique visitor, so they're probably doing it multiple times. And Zillow and Redfin are trying to get agents, buyers and sellers, to switch real estate agents because they're brokerage now. That is the why behind the why. It motivates the hell out of me to get up every day and build a moat around my database, bring value. Every person in your database should be getting something from you, like a market report, or they shouldn't have to look up their home value. They should be getting it from you. They should be getting homes for sale in their neighborhood, like what's going on around them. Be a resource. Before, Zillow and all that was such a big thing, I used to contact HOA presidents and I'd say, hey, would it be okay if I just send you a list of all the houses that hit in your, would that be a value if you knew every home that hit the market went under contract in your neighborhood? HOA presidents say, absolutely. That way I don't got to go keep an eye on who's getting their house on the market when I know they owe me HOA dues, right? And that was my precursor to going, listen, this information is valuable. It needs to be coming from you. If it's not coming from you, it's coming from someone else. I promise you, the world's evolving really fast. We have to get to work. We have to be better. We have to do better. That is the why behind the why. I can't be any more clear without using expletives. I'm not pulling a Gary V today, Brian.
Well, that is, again, so powerful. And I think it's beyond just more than transactions. It's consistently generation also impacts an agent's confidence, stability, and their stress level. So the next thing I want to quickly touch on, because one of the things that you talked about in our call was bold. And I know that KW agents, they hear bold, they hear bold, they hear bold. You closed 17 transactions from your time in bold. What about that program changed? What happened during that? That's insane.
I want to be clear. It was 17 in 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be clear from that. Again, I'm from Louisiana. I'm not very smart. So, I just, when people tell me something, sometimes I just go do it. Like when I got my license, they said, you should show up to the office every day. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's what I did. I went to the office from 8 to 3 every day. I toured properties, I did this. And so, when I watched what successful people would do, I would just do it. And so they're like, oh, my team leader's like, you should take bold and you should do everything they ask. I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to do that. That was in 2010. What's her name? Benson was my, yeah, she was great. Anyway, so I did bold. I didn't question it. I did things I was completely and utterly uncomfortable with. I was so uncomfortable. I sweated in class, not wanting to do the things. It was out of my comfort zone completely, but I just did it. I wanted to see if it brought value to my world. And we did it in July and August. And that September, I had 17 closings and I was drowning and I made my first hire. Like my life was completely out of balance. Life balance has always been important to me. I made my first hire. And based on that first hire, I told, I made a hire as administrative hire and I said, listen, you're going to be a terrible admin, but you'll be an amazing real estate agent. He was my very first hire. I said, I would do everything in my power once you get licensed to make you 6 figures in real estate. And he watched me daily, and you know what? He was in that position for 6 months. We had to hire. He became an agent, and 1 year later, he had made $100,000 in real estate. That same agent sold 700 homes last year. Sorry, 500 homes last year. He's on pace for 700 this year.
Wow.
I talked to him this morning. He's like, dude, I am still doing what you taught me in that office from 2010 to 2013. I walk in my office, I'm doing my lead gen, I'm doing my things. He just continued to scale. He was the greatest student, and I'm so proud of him. But you know, that class literally changed my trajectory.
Yeah. Well, amazing. So I want to touch on another thing we talked about in our pre-interview call. You briefly mentioned it, but I want to dive a little bit deeper. You sent me your slides on how to be Zillow. You said this was a class that you go around teaching to many, many agents. And what are the most important nuggets from that class that you are so passionate about that you could give agents on this call right now?
From the class?
Yeah, or just the topic, because you talked about how passionate you were about that. And I think you briefly mentioned it earlier, but I'd love to dive a little deeper.
So when I go back to the amount of work that like Zillow was, you know, for example, stealing our client. I say stealing, right? They're doing the work we're not doing. And I know that everyone is looking at real estate. It's just, they're in the class. I think I told you this, Kennedy. There's an exercise at the end, and it's called my relocation exercise. Someone always wants to move to sunny Florida, somewhere in Florida. And so it's a great test case. I take a screenshot of the board every time and I put it in my Google Drive. And I say, Kennedy's gonna be moving to Florida. And let's all band together. We're gonna help Kennedy move to Florida without any budget. And what are we gonna do to help what is Kennedy gonna do to grow her business? And it never fails. We start going through the list, right? We were getting FSBOs, expired, door knocking, Facebooks, community event, church, marriage groups, divorce groups. I get a few, funeral homes, which is a little wild to me, but whatever. And we start running through the exercise. And, there's a little prompting by me, but we usually get between 30 and 45 responses of what real estate agents are gonna do. And then in that moment, I pause and I say, how many of these are you doing? And the room, it never fails. It always goes silent. Because I think in that moment, we realize how many things we're not doing as real estate agents. It's what real estate agents used to do all the time before we sat there waiting on leads to come in. It's what we did before social media. And we're going to Instagram our way to success. And so how many of you, I'll give you an example. I was teaching in Tampa and this lady's like, I gave an example. I paid my hairdresser, my barber, back in 2015. I paid him to get his real estate license. I paid for it because he had been sending me some referrals. And I said, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you 25% of everything that you send to me from here on out. And he's like, really? For 8 years straight, I made 6 figures plus off his referrals, and he made $28,000 to $42,000 a year in referral fees, sitting in his chair, referring me clients. How many of you have a referral source that strong? It was a $1,700 investment, well worth it, that paid for itself over and over and over. Real estate agents, we've gotten out of the habit of thinking of how we teach people to refer us business. We've gotten out of the habit of how to hunt for business. We want to post and get it, right? But there's a whole big world out there and technology's creeping in, but the human experience will not change. Like people will still refer you business if you teach them how to. And so we've got to get to work. I mean it. I really, really mean it. You have to be out there. And so this lady stood up. She's like, oh my God. She said, I have a garage sale person. She has no interest in selling real estate, but she loves garage sales. So she paid for her to get her license. And this girl goes around to garage sales. And when they say, hey, yeah, we're getting her house ready to sell, she goes, wait, I have the agent for you. And it is her top referral source. And there's a lot of other examples as I've traveled and taught of like people doing these things, and they exist. We just have to think a little bit differently. We've got to cut out the noise and start to figure out how we can grow our business using the human connection. And so my How to Be Zillow class really is about awareness to what is happening out there with technology, consumer expectations, Do you know the average agent response time is over 4 hours? And consumers expect it right away? Right? We're in an instant gratification society, and here are agents showing up like 4 hours later. It doesn't work that way. And so, I'm just really passionate about helping people understand where the world is, where they're headed. And it's not to scare. It's just like, hey, this is happening. What are we going to do about it? What can you do about it? Elise and McKenna, and Ashley, and I see you over there, Heather. What are we going to do about that? And it's often not extremely sexy, but it works. Do you have a hairdresser that can refer you business? A garage sale person, a wedding planner, a divorce attorney, a probate attorney? Where are you at in your community? Do you show up to garage sales, or do you activate your HOA? Do you go to PTO? I invite people to come speak to my team. I think, normal people doing amazing things. Had a lady last year, she's a single mom, 3 kids on a team. And she does 50 to 60 transactions every year, all through sports, because she doesn't have much time. So you can be intentional about the time you have, right? So she is lead generating. She's just doing it a different way. And we have to be better about understanding what that can look like. So
Wow.
that's my soapbox.
Well, that's incredible, because you kind of just answered the next 2 questions that I had about referrals, but we could touch a little bit on that. So you are ahead of the pace here. But you said you're 65 to 70% referral. So you're not just talking the talk. That's the majority of your business is coming from referrals, which is incredible. So what I'm hearing from that is just creating those relationships, even in your day-to-day. I know that we just went through Ignite. We taught that in person in the Market Center here. And that was what, from the foundation, is looking at when you drop your dog off at the dog center, when you are picking your kids up from school, working that into your day-to-day life. So any other tips or tricks on how to build that referral pipeline, or for agents wanting to grow their referral business, where do they start?
You have to be present in your own world. There are people who are looking at you. There are people who are cheering for you. There are people who will support you. And I think it's your responsibility to show them that who you hope to become in your career, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was a new agent, for example, like I'm pretty relentless. I don't work has never been a problem for me. Like I can't. That's what that balance means so much to me. I can be a complete workaholic, right? But when I started in the business, all I wanted to portray is that no one was going to work harder than me or take care of me better than me. And that's who I hope to become in my real estate career when I just started. And you know what? That's what it became. And so people supported, I think, that version of me to get me where I wanted to go. And I think you also have to understand that not everyone in your database, this is important, not everyone in your database is created equal. Not everyone in your database is created equal. I have the best man in my wedding. I was talking about this morning with an agent. He has never sent me a referral. We've done business together. Great friend of mine. He's not a referrer. I have a nurse that I've never sold a house to that sends me 3 to 5 referrals a year, because I took care of his mom and I did a really good job with that. And so that person gets more attention from me, right? They get almost a call a month. They get something a little bit different during the holidays. I know it's a he, and I know the things that he likes is involved in. And they get some special deliveries, he gets invited to sporting events and things like that. There are people who rarely take my call. I know they are there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody in your world is created equal. So pay attention for those people who are cheering you on, who are supporting you, and give them a little bit more attention. And how I do that is I do A+, A's, B's, and C's. A+ get a lot of my time and attention. A's get a fair bit. They're my typical 4 calls a year. And I got my B's and my C's. My C's are 2 calls a year. But my goal is to get my C's to B's, B's to A's, A's to A+. but live with your A pluses more and more and more and more and more. Those are the people like my hairdresser who was sending me, you know, 6 figures annual income, and like, why not? Right? Think about, can you think of somebody who lives in like you know, like a golf course community? Listen, there's a lady in my neighborhood, she owns my neighborhood. And I am going to wrestle it from her.
Mhm.
But I mean, but I know what she does. She's always at open houses. She's donating things. She's buying, you know, Girl Scout cookies from kids in the neighborhood. She's super active. I know what she does. She's doing a damn good job. She's doing a damn good job. It's impressive. Kudos to her. I just have to figure out a way to take it. And so, you know, just look at your database. Know that not everyone is equal. Allocate. The time is your most precious asset. Time is your most precious asset. And I teach everyone that comes to work with me that the hardest thing you're going to do here in this job is manage your calendar. And everybody laughs at first. And then by day 60, they're like, hair sideways, like, how do you keep up with all of it and do all the things? And it just stay consistent. Yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, I'm going to ask one more question and then we're going to open up and see if people have questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat or get ready to come off of mute. But kind of a two-parter. Number one, what do you think separates those agents who stay stuck from actually those that build sustainable businesses? And what is one habit that you think of agents committed to today that would change their business over the next 12 months?
I have a 2-part answer for your first question.
Okay.
1, they continue to learn and grow. It's no mistake that your top producers are always in class. They're always at conference. They're always learning and growing. My B to that is that they don't get distracted by too many shiny objects. They're learning and growing, but they're implementing one thing at a time. They're implementing and continuing to grow. So if you're doing all the things and not doing the activities, you're going to fail. Like, you can learn yourself out the business. So I am certain that the ones that continue to learn, they grow, but they don't get too distracted. And then if there's an agent listening today that one habit that would change their business, can you just put it on your calendar, talk to 10 people a day. Just talk to 10 people a day. Have fun with it. Like, don't go home until it happens. Reward yourself when it does. The math will always math out in real estate. If you talk to 10 people a day, it's 50 a week, 200 a month. You should set 3 to 4 solid appointments. Solid appointments. It could be higher, but I'm using average math. And so I would say talk to 10 people a day. If you held those appointments, you're going to have a sustainable business. And when it's sustainable, you're happy. You're not on the roller coaster stressing out about where your next deal is coming from. Like, we're making deposits that show up later. That's real estate. You have to get used to that rhythm. It's weird. I know it is. I know people. I've worked with so many people coming into the business. I work with so many people that have been in it a long time that have found themselves in a different spot than they've been. And at the end of the day, it's mindset and action. And so if you will commit to 10 conversations a day, I don't care where they come from, like, you'll see a change in your business. You'll see a change in your confidence. And if you're having fun, you're going to see a change in your life.
Amazing. All right. Well, I want to open up the floor because if you guys don't have any questions, I sure have a couple more. But any ahas, questions for Tim? Again, feel free to come off of mute or put them in the chat. Elise already right there with a question. Go ahead, Miss Elise.
Well, it's actually the last thing he just said, and then I have a statement. Because I think, so first of all, I'm the MCA, which I know everyone on this call knows, though having 10 conversations a day, right? How are they becoming real estate conversations? And I think that's where, you think, oh, I had 10 conversations. Did you? And,
Right.
So that's where learning how to have those regular conversations turning into a real estate conversation is a challenge.
Yeah. I've got an easy answer for that.
I love easy.
I know. I'm really good at boiling the complicated down easy. Again, I'm not so bright. I'm from Louisiana. But go Tigers. It's, and so I'll go with Ford. I know everybody heard it.
Right, for sure.
But if anybody's ever heard me lead generate to leads, it sounds just like I'm calling my database. So
Mhm.
if I'm calling my database, here's how, if I'm like out of rhythm or I haven't talked to them in a while, I go, I'm checking in. I was like, how's the family? Right? We're checking in. How's yours? Oh, great. How's work? Are you still at the whatever? You still at this company? Yeah. No, I switched. Oh, damn. No wonder you haven't been getting my market reports. By the way, I've been sending you a market report about your neighborhood. I'm gonna go ahead and update your email address now, by the way. Thanks for giving that to me. And so you guys, you got any plans for spring break? What are you doing? Okay. I know you've been in your house for 2 years. You guys think about investing, anything like that? Like, you make any investments?
Yeah, that's good. I like that last part. Yeah.
What are your
Um,
investments like? I want to be the person to connect them. Like, I've got a great financial advisor. I've got a great tax attorney. I've got a great, oh, you are considering commercial. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And so if I'm talking to a lead, let's say, I'll give you an open house. People don't know how to talk to leads anymore. Well, you just go for them.
Well,
Great.
and a million percent, I think it's, I'd like to reference certainly the people who just got their license and are joining us, right? And going to our breakout sessions that we're having and our, it's interesting because our TL helps like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're at, doing activities, take out your phone, coaching session. And you just see people just going through like, should I call this one? Should I call that one? What conversations? And it's just getting them to get like, let's get going, let's get going, let's get going. And so,
Oh,
it's normal. Listen, human nature, right?
yeah,
It's
but
just they have to
it is.
get comfortable with it.
That's why I default to forward. It's so easy. Like, say
Mhm.
somebody comes in an open house and I call them like, great, thanks for coming to the open house. By the way, I did get some information. How many people are in your family? F.
And
Okay.
we go through that too. Yeah, all of
But
that.
with the
Mhm.
lead, and I go, okay,
Oh,
well,
gotcha. Sorry.
yeah, this is like a lead. How many people are in your family? Oh, where do you work? Occupation. How far of a drive? Oh, this location may not work for you. Have you ever thought about this? Blah, 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 blah. Right? What do y'all do for fun outside of work? Where, where do you see yourselves in about 10 years? We're having conversations that are
Sure.
so natural that it disarms people, and we're also empowering them because they get to talk. We're asking questions. A
Right.
script, by the way, I hope everybody knows. People do not like the word script, but if you look at any script, it's a series of questions.
Mhm.
We're asking questions.
Right.
It's not so hard, is it?
100%. It's just getting them comfortable. So,
It
and the
is. It
support.
is.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I
Thank
honestly, I
you.
go to
Mhm.
Ford, and when people hear it, they're like, "Oh, well, that's easy." It
Yeah.
just sounds weird at first. I get it.
It, you know what? It stops sounding weird when you get your first actual lead, right? Oh my gosh, that worked. And then it's like so exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing. Anybody else? Ahas, questions, curiosities? If not,
I have a
Rebecca?
question.
Okay, I'll go one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Oh, so you didn't really touch on this and I had to step out for a quick second. So if you did, I apologize. But as you were building your business, because I've been in the business just a hair longer than yours, but bopped into leadership, bopped out of leadership, bopped back into leadership, and now I'm back in the sales game. And um, it's in a new location. So when you went to Tennessee and you started a new location, what was important to you about, because I know we have people on the call that are newer to this area, newer to the business and all things. What was important to you about setting up your business and finding business in an area where you don't have a database and a lot of connections?
Get to 200 humans in there as fast as possible was my first target. 200 seems to be the first magic number, and then it's 400. It's what I've taught. And I realized I didn't have a huge database here. The second part to that was, so how do you do it, right? Open houses, I meet people at the ball fields, I mean, sporting events, schools, the things that I'm talking about, the relocation exercise, I'm living it. And gotta be honest, it was like going back to grade school for me a little bit. Like, it was a little bit of some uncomfortable, nudging some people. The second part to that was I started emailing people of the market that I came from pretty differently. And so I'll say almost 45% so far since I've been licensed in Tennessee. 45% of my business has come from real estate agents. I'm very intentional about reaching out to people that, so like that's come from Louisiana or other places. And so I have an agent newsletter that I send out. And so just being intentional. Being
Gotcha.
intentional. I closed a $4.5 million deal last month from a referral from someone that owns a restaurant in Baton Rouge.
Thank you.
It was a good day. It was a good day. So anyway, I had to run the base. I'm running the bases. I'm still doing it. I got open house, not this weekend because of my birthday weekend, but start next weekend. I'm back on open house rotation. The days are getting long. It's spring. I'm hungry. I want to meet more people. I've hit 200. Now I got to get to 400.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that, Rebecca. Wayne, I see your hand up.
Yeah, Tim, great stuff. Very, very impressive. As you split your time, I know you do your lead gen, your lead follow-up. How do you get the work done? How do you manage that? That's dragging me down as the follow-up. How do you balance that?
Try not to do follow up before lunch at all. So the morning is my where I make money time. And then I try to do lead follow up either before lead gen or after. I just, you know what? I get up early, I work out, structural time. And so I honestly, Wayne, I really try not to do it during my money making time. Like lead generating is different behavior than lead follow up, right? I've done work somewhere else that a lead has showed up. And so I try to do that in the laters, and then I just have a running task list, and is Wayne, you still there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, the screen changed. I don't know if you're there. And so let me ask a question. So you said like a lead, like would that person, let's say that lead would, if you have an example, like if somebody's a hot lead, for example, they're doing something in 30 days. If they're doing something 45 days or out, hot, I'll touch in the morning because it's important. People 45 days or over, I try to do after lunch.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, that does. It does. I respect that because I try to do the same way as prioritize my people and my time. And you're absolutely right. If they're an A or B, my A's are 0 to 60, and I certainly try to get back to them, quickly. But at least once a week, adding value, like you said, not just calling it, but giving information on the market, get information on local houses they were looking at, that type of thing. One other quick one: how much is your seller versus buyer? What's your ratio?
About 70% listings, 30% buyer.
Got it.
I
Okay.
listen, to be fair, I'd be happy with some buyers, more buyers than Nashville. But I don't know why, maybe it's my messaging. I need to interrogate this a little bit better, to be honest, if I'm being completely transparent. I love some more buyers, but I attract listings. I don't know if it's just, people feel confident reaching out for me in that regard. And then one other answer to your question about the time is that I do, and I've done this for, my MAPS coach, she gave me the schedule years ago. I don't know if anybody knows Ray Wayne. She was my very first coach. She gave me the schedule. She's like, okay, Tim, you can't work like this all the time. So what you should do is split your weeks up. And so one week I work Monday, Wednesday, Friday late. The next week I work Tuesday, Thursday late. So I have an alternating week schedule. If that makes sense? I've got 3 young kids, by the way. And so I'm like, okay, I know I got 3 late days this week, but next week I only have 2. That makes my time kind of go, all right. Does that make sense? Like, I know it's not every damn day that I'm working late. And I have the time blocks that says appointments. If there's no appointment there, I'm just doing more lead gen and more follow-up. I mean, that's how I do it. I feel a little bit
Good
better.
stuff.
Yeah,
Good stuff. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, I got out of the military because I was working crazy hours. And then then I got ended up in the restaurant business, which I got out because I was working crazy hours. And then I got into real estate and like, wow, I'm working crazy hours. And so I decided to do something about it. And yeah, it's a fight, but it is what it is.
Awesome. Well,
Thank
thanks
you.
for that, Wayne. We'll take one more question because I know we're coming up on time and I want to be respectful of you guys' time. So McKenna, if you don't mind reading that one in the chat.
Yes. All right. So Miss Ashley said, do you have systems in place to ensure that you are both adding people into your database and, love this, Ashley, it's my favorite, and on social media so that you could touch them in both places?
Man. Okay. Yes. I modified, everybody's heard the 33 touch. Ours is more. I modified my 33 touch to go interact with them on social media. That was the only, I've tried it some other ways, like, then you end up with a different spreadsheet and then you're going through, you're going through. So actually, yeah, so what I did was I added one where I'm interacting on social media. So how it does is it pops up 4 times a year along with my call. So if I call them and I don't get them on the phone, then I definitely go do that. If I do talk to them and then I may go interact and say, anyway, I know if I've interacted with them recently. If it pops up and I have interacted, I don't do it. Like I just, move on. And then if I haven't, then I make sure I do it. Does that help? And I know with, whatever CRM you're using, you can create that. Definitely with Command, you can do that. So yeah.
Amazing. Alrighty. Well, Tim, thank you so much. This has been one of my favorite calls for our Real Talk with Top Talent series. Are you okay if I share your information with our agents afterwards in case they have any referrals for you or anything like that? Are you okay if I share that? They can reach out with any.
All right. So look,
all right.
Instagram, it's Music City Sold, and in Baton Rouge, it's Red Stick Sold. If you want to look on Instagram, but yeah, please share my email. We service both markets. Yeah.
Amazing.
Appreciate you having me. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Heather, for letting us up. Thanks, Kennedy, for the great questions.
Thank you.
Have a great birthday weekend.
Yes, happy early birthday.
I intend to. And I'm gonna go nail that referral, by the way.
Yes, you
I'd
are.
love to hear it.
All right. Well, thank you again, Tim. We appreciate you.
Good to see you, Tim.
All righty.
Cheers.
All righty. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.